Hola, guys, and welcome to another episode of Generational with me, your host, Gabby, and my guest, Miles.
What's up, everybody?
And today we watched The Truman Show, and Miles picked this movie, so I'm going to let him introduce it for you guys.
Yeah, so this movie is a Jim Carrey classic. Came out in 1999, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's like very. It predicts the future a lot in a lot of ways about like how we interact with social media now in today's world. But it's basically about a guy who lives his entire life in a TV set. So everything is a camera. All the people in his life are actors. Every situation is manipulated and like made up by this producer who's played by Ed Harris. And then it's just about how he struggles with that and comes to terms with the fact that he's living in a TV show. And I thought it would be a good pick because it's like the polar opposite of the first two movies that we picked. And it's a comedy. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Gabby, what did you think about it?
I really liked it. It felt like a warm hug, kind of, but at the same time, after watching it,
definitely,
I was
like the color palette and everything.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of Edward Scissorhands a lot. I know I told you that because it was like from that time period. But after watching it, like anything that happened to me, I was like, this is a show. I know it's fake. Like I would literally be going to school and then I'd get in traffic and I'm like, someone doesn't want me to go to school right now.
That's funny that you say that. So, like, in doing research for this, I was just reading, like, fun facts about the movie. And there's actually, and I'm not saying that you're doing this or you have this, but, like, in the early 2000s, like 2005, 2007, it was a psychotic syndrome that therapists and, like, clinicians would tell people that they have is, like, the Truman syndrome. Like if you came in and were telling your therapist, like, I think everybody's watching me, everything's revolving around me, whatever. It was like after watching the movie, somebody that is like on the verge of a psychotic break would like use that as justification for everything. I'm not saying that you're doing that by any means. It's just that it's funny that you bring that up because I didn't even I never thought about that, but I see how somebody could, because like, it makes you think, but how, especially in the first basically hour of the movie, they don't break the fact that like you notice things are off and like you as a viewer know that it's a weird situation, but like it's not, you don't see the producer until like an hour into the movie, so like you don't know for a fact that it's a TV show until that point. So like it's pretty funny to, because I at one point I felt the same, and it was before I saw this. So like this illuminated it in the opposite way for me as it did for you, which is interesting and fun to hear.
No, I'd always like think this is like it's gonna sound crazy, but I would always be like, if my life was a TV show, like
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody does at some point. Yeah.
Like even down to like, oh my God, what would the Instagram edits of me look like? That's so crazy. Me and my sister talk about this. We both do the same thing, but that's funny. So yeah, this definitely made me a little paranoid, especially because before I watched this, I had been telling myself, it's like the past year, I was like, it's so crazy. My life like feels like a TV show in the way like the first season was like, I don't know, probably 10th, or not 10th, 9th through 11th grade for me, where I was like just a side character of my own kind of life. And then now it's like quarantine to now, I feel like I finally got my own like spin-off show.
Yeah, you're on your main character.
Yeah.
You went from blackish to grownish.
Yeah,
That's the comp. But yeah, I think like comparing it to the seasons is like, I don't know. I know a lot of people that think of their lives in chapters of a book. Mm-hmm. I'm like you. I think of it in seasons of a TV show just because I love television and movies so much. But what did you think of like I guess I'm going to be doing most of the questions about this one because I have a lot. What did you think of how they used his wife to like push product? Like how... And like think about it in how Instagram influencers, push like the fit tee or whatever the hell.
It really felt like a TikTok ad almost.
Right?
Like for like, the Bang energy drinks.
Yeah,
Except they don't even try now. They'll just put the drink in the video and like, this is an ad now. But no, it really, it felt real goofy. which I know
Yeah.
how it's supposed to feel, but it did feel like how you said, the influencers, TikTok kind of thing, where it's just randomly, they'll be doing a normal video and they're like, and what helped me was this tea that I drank, and here's where you can buy it.
Exactly. That's what really stuck out to me last night on a rewatch. Because I think the first time I watched this movie was like 2015. It was when I was in college for sure.
I was
But
13.
yeah, I don't mean to age myself, but yeah, I mean, I love the Ed Harris character. It was nominated for what, 3 Oscars, won a couple Globes. Can't believe that Jim Carrey wasn't nominated for.
Yeah.
But 1999 was a hot year for movies, though. There was a lot of good stuff. But this guy. So, have you ever seen the movie Gattaca?
No, I don't
By
think
chance?
I have.
Okay, the same guy that wrote Gattaca wrote this movie. Never mind. It's about like if you could make like a designer baby, kind of what's happening now, honestly. So it's crazy that the same guy has like made movies that have predicted the future in a lot of ways. It's really
He
fun
should work for
to
Black
think
Mirror
about.
at this point.
I kind of, yeah. And then you probably saw In Time, the Justin Timberlake
No,
movie
but I
where
watched
they,
a commentary on it.
yeah. He wrote that as well. And then there was one other one. Oh, The Terminal. That's a really good movie. But anyway, yeah, his name is Andrew Nicole. Niccol. That, yeah.
And he's a time traveler, is what you're getting at?
Potentially. I mean, hell, the guy, it says he was born in 64, but his IMDb picture looks like he's about 40. So.
Him and the Simpsons writers should team up.
Exactly. So what is your relation to Jim Carrey? I mean, we talked about this briefly before we started recording, but
I've seen bits and pieces of Dumb and Dumber, and I've seen Mr. Popper's Penguins, thanks to my second grade teacher.
Crazy that these are the first ones you talk about.
And then The Grinch, and then I've always wanted to watch what is it, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah, great one. So that's what I wanted to ask about. So like, you've never seen, this is arguably one of Jim Carrey's most serious roles. Mm-hmm. It's like more existential than anything, and he like goes back to the Truman Show character a lot, and like how it was one of his favorite characters to play because he could wrap himself so much in the idea of, being stuck in a reality that was created around you. Mm-hmm. And he really, like, as a celebrity, enjoyed that idea. But so you've never really seen The Mask or like...
Oh, I have seen The Mask.
Bruce Almighty?
I haven't seen Bruce Almighty.
Oh, man.
I've seen The Mask.
That was like my first introduction to Jim Carrey, was Bruce Almighty. And like, I always saw him as a seriously funny actor. Mm-hmm. Like he could portray serious roles in funny movies and be the funniest guy trying to be serious. But like, he was never like a dramatic actor in a lot of sense. And I don't know.
I feel like he definitely has a good range.
Exactly. I don't know. Jim Carrey is one of my favorite people. And you talk about The Grinch. That's like all-time classics for me.
Could you imagine if I said, I've seen Sonic the Hedgehog and that's it?
Oh, my God. And then Ed Harris, you probably no idea who that is. Never watched Westworld. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry.
Anywho, in reading about the movie, there's 3 characters that are studied a lot in film school about this in this movie, mm-hmm. and one of the main ones is Ed Harris's character Kristoff, and how he manipulates the world that he creates. What did you think about him?
I didn't like it. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to say this. I do know, like, it was supposed to allude to somewhat God and stuff with the name Kristoff and, like, Jesus Christ and stuff. Mm-hmm. I did see a video about that. I thought it was... I'm trying to put it into words, because I had... Oh, my God. I don't know. I just thought... I'm a big, I have such a weird take on religion. So, it was not odd. It was interesting to see someone kind of play a God character like that for me.
Yeah. And I mean, that's really what it felt like, especially since they adopted Truman at a young age. Like, mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, but if you look at the world, there's people that are like making YouTube videos of them giving birth in the hospital, and then like week 1 with our baby in the hospital.
So kind of like the family vlog style thing.
It's exactly what they're doing in the Truman Show, except
Yeah.
it's self-imposed, like
Mm-hmm.
it went from the idea that the only person that might be able to pull this off is like this, like holier than thou genius type who would manipulate a world around somebody, to now we live in a world where like the individual is doing that to themselves to broadcast what they want and to like show the world how they're living. In 1999, people didn't want everybody else to know what they were doing. They didn't want, like, I say this as if I was like, in my 20s in the night. I was like 3 years old, but so I have no idea. But just from like everything I've read and learned and watched about that period and talking to people that were like my age now, back then, they didn't live in a world where you broadcast it out to everybody. So that's why this was so alien to people, because it was like, well, who would want that? Like, who would watch that? It felt like dystopian in a sense, that somebody like a average viewer would sit down and watch that day in and day out. But now we do. Hell, I mean, I watch a lot of vlogs of people just doing.
I mean, my sisters do though. They were like obsessed with the Ace Family and stuff. So I get the appeal, but
yeah, I mean, I don't watch like the family vlogs or anything like I just described, but definitely like the day-to-day golf vlogs of like people improving their game. Yeah, I love that stuff, and that's like in a vein of the Truman Show.
oh, okay. Well, I can say I have watched some day-to-day vlogs like that. It's like day in the life of yada yada yada, and I'm like, oh my god, you're so cool. That's literally where I wanted to try boba tea, was from one of those videos. I was like, I would love that. But yeah, I can definitely see that. Dang, so you definitely did take more of this influenced modern day influencer social media culture type thing.
I just think that it not necessarily it just like was a precursor to it. Like this kind of like showed us an idealized extreme of what it could be before it was ever thought of to like actually be day to day. Well, what was your like big takeaway?
I don't know. I kind of like, in some sense, like, like I said, I was paranoid, like, the week after, like, everyone around me's fake, nothing matters. Like, it gave me that existential, like, nothing's real, nothing matters what I do kind of vibe. And then, like, some points during the movie, I was like, this feels like a weird, I know I make everything about religion, but it feels like a weird take on religion, and kind of how, they were pointing out, or I watched a video pointing out, like, this is really sad for Jim Carrey's character. Like, they faked his dad's death and stuff. And it's kind of like, if you're such this almighty person watching over, why would you put someone through that much trauma? It felt like a kind of take of, like, how people are like, if there's a God, why are people starving right now?
Yeah, why is there cancer? Why is there, like, starving children? Yeah.
And it's just like, God works in mysterious ways. Like,
yeah, and Christoph is definitely the personification of that ideal. Yeah. I mean, and I think that I relate it just because I grew up in like a Christian household. I don't see that initially because I see the godifying of the self in the movie by like turning Truman into the spectacle, and not like what caused him, which is like I think more of the outside force, what you're talking about, like the fact that a being much similar to our creator was or a creator was like influencing Truman's like horrible life, because we don't need to forget the fact that he went through some trauma just to keep him like there, that like in the first 10 minutes we see him trying to get on a boat to go on like a day trip, and there's a sinking boat right next to the dock, and that's like a direct allusion to when his dad died, which they faked. I mean, it was, they
like, that's so crazy.
It was
Could
a
you
write-in,
imagine?
yeah.
Like, if everyone in the entire world, like, was, like, TV show characters, and there was, like,
Nuts.
a guy, and he's like,
Yeah.
hey, let's give this person brain cancer just for some fun,
Yeah, just because we need to spice season 25 up.
Yeah.
Because...
Need to spice season 2020 21 up.
Did you see that this was originally written to be a teenage character, much like your age, and it's like an angsty realization that they're living in a fake reality, but because the director and the writer both wanted Jim Carrey, that it was rewritten as a midlife crisis.
I like how it is now, but I do also want to see how
I think it makes a lot more. I think it makes a lot more sense as a because I think, and it was supposed to be in New York, which I don't think would have worked. Like a fake version of New York, there would have been no way to fake that. The seaside town, the small like homey town, was like a great comp to make it seem fakeable, because like somebody could live their whole life there and have no idea. But back to it being a teenager, I don't think that, I don't know, just because teenagers are going through like such a pivotal time in their life, like in the 17 to 21-year-old age, that like it would be truly believable to like for them to like fully break out of the character and like believe that they're doing it and like figure it out in a sense, just because like you said, you saw the movie in your life in a lot of ways. So like if that and I did the same thing when I was your age. So like if that's something we experienced just like outside of the Truman, like us being like knowing the Truman Show, I think like the fact that it's a midlife crisis and that this guy is like a full grown adult and like in his mid 30s and like has been living this life for his 30s, and you come into the story at that point, you're like, oh my God, how is he still bought in to all of this? How does he still not get it? So by the time that light falls in the very beginning, you're like, oh, so it's picking up like right at the point where he loses it. You know, like there's no seeing it work out. I mean, we see him walk to work for the first time. But and like that's probably the most idealized version of the television show that we get outside of Kristoff like live writing to his best friend when they're on the dock and he's trying to like keep him there, you know, like that's really genius. But like the magic of the whole set working is really only seen in like the first 20 minutes. I think it would be hard to make that believable with the teenager, because you're already questioning in so much about your life. It would make sense. It would make like way too much sense. Like, because we see Truman in his 30s and we see that he's like fully bought in at 35 or whatever he is, like the break is so much more like captivating and like drawing you in, because you're like, this guy might just like, his head might explode because his entire life is a lie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally get that. And I do, yeah. I feel like a teenager would just be like, yeah, I kind of figured.
Yeah, exactly, right? They would just be like, oh, I get it, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is fake, cool.
Of course. I've known this since I was 5.
Yeah, because like you kind of already feel that way. By 30, he's like fully bought into it and like is believing all the lies that are being fed him. So you see him for the first time and you're like, holy shit, for lack of a better word, you know, like, oh my God, what? Do you have any questions for me? I feel like this is so much shorter. I mean, there's with a movie like The Truman Show, to me, it's hard to like really get into like the plot points, because
it's so like,
if somebody hasn't seen it, you don't really want to ruin it. And then if they have, you spend a week thinking about it when you see it for the first time. So like you've already thought about all this exposition that we're talking about, or at least like I did, and I'm sure you did the same.
Yeah. I definitely did. I mean, even like just the other day, I was just driving on like school, I think, and I was at a roundabout, and it just all of a sudden, right when I get there, all the cars come in. And I was like, what the? This is some Truman Show type shit.
And then just in the back of your head, you hear the producer, all right, now car 5, pull up. Here she comes. She's ready for the roundabout.
Gotta make her late for school. She was walking in with coffee, late for school. We gotta give her a little embarrassment. Lordy. But yeah, it was crazy to watch, because like I said, like I thought of my show or my life like a TV show, and putting it in that light, I was like, maybe that's not a good thing if it was, you know, because like thinking about that, if it was, someone had to write like, all right, and when she's born, she will not have a dad. Don't know why.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, and then on the flip side of it, is it like it's too random to be written? Like all of our lives are too random to be written out by some grand producer. Is that like a comp to God? I don't know.
Are you saying that, or is someone like feeding you lines to say that to stop me thinking that?
What do you mean?
Okay.
I'm just talking from like self-experience. Like that's just like how I think about
Got
it.
an earpiece in right now.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Say this. She's questioning too much.
Christoph, hush. I'm just kidding. Yes, Gabby. All of these recordings are an elaborate plan to get you to believe that this is real. I'm in cahoots with whoever your teacher is. Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, I mean, but it's crazy. Okay, so like, what other movies have made you think like this? That's why I wanted this movie, because I have trouble, like, off the top of my head coming up with other movies that when somebody asks me what movie I want to talk about, it's like it's The Truman Show, because there's.
I don't know.
And it's not like there's necessarily a lot to talk about, but there's a lot to think about.
I don't know. The only other movie, I don't know. I just don't think about movies that long. Usually it's just like I'll watch it, I'll think about it for like the rest of the night. And I'm like, all right, time to go to bed. I'm only like not done that with like a handful of movies.
I would say Parasite is the first one that comes to mind for me.
I haven't seen Parasite.
My God. But yeah, so that one's definitely like top of the mind. But that's recent. I call recency bias on myself there. See, and that's why it's so good, because I can't think of another one that like kept me up like this.
Maybe there's probably some Black Mirror episodes that I'm not thinking of. That probably just made me think, damn.
Have you ever seen the movie Her?
Yes, I have.
That one really made me think. I really enjoyed that.
I did like
I just love the Joaquin performance.
That was when I was on the Joaquin Phoenix train. I was like, I'm going to watch every single thing he's done. And I just watched that in Her. Or Her and Joker. All right. I'm done.
Two good ones.
Yeah.
Two good ones, to be fair. Do you see any like comps to this movie, like in modern day?
Like what?
I would say like Emily in Paris. Did you ever watch that?
Like
modern day comparisons.
I mean, other than like Black Mirror, like I could see this. If the Truman Show wasn't a thing, I could see Black Mirror already having an episode just like
Similar
this.
to it, yeah.
I mean, they probably already do. What's that one? Nosedive? That's
where you rate everybody.
Yeah.
And then there's the other one. It's like Minute for Mile or whatever, where you like cycle to earn your money, and like it's the Daniel Kaluuya episode.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about in season 1.
I watched like the beginning of it, and then I fell asleep because it was right after Homecoming.
I hope he wins this Oscar this weekend, yo.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, but I just want Daniel Kaluuya to excel. I love that guy.
I remember my mom hearing him talk, and she goes, "He's British." I was like, "Yes, Mom." And she jokingly goes, "He's black. He can't be British." I was like,
What?
She jokingly said that.
Yeah.
I know she does.
What did you think of? I really on last night's watch. I'm glad I remembered this because I wanted that we can talk about this for a little bit. What did you think of the music? I always seem to bring up the music in it.
What, like the score? Or?
Yes, yeah. Like, did that affect how things happen? And the first scene that always sticks out to me is like.
I'd say the ending scene when he's leaving on the boat. That's definitely where I can.
And then that very first time he breaks, when he takes the wife across the bridge and kind of holds her hostage and like is watching the neighbors make the circle. That like big crescendo is so cool because like the music kind of piggybacks off of his emotion, because like it's starting to become real frantic and like up and down. There's like a fast heartbeat to it, much like Truman was feeling at the time. That really stuck out to me.
Yeah, like I said, the only thing I can think of is the ending scene, because I usually don't pick up on soundtracks or scores that easily unless it's, like obviously meant to like, or like, it's like the Empire one. What is it called? I don't know. Like the classic ones I'll pick up on. I'm like, oh, that's where that's from. Yeah. Or the only other one I've picked up on and loved is the ending of the Midsummer one, just because it like goes up and then it just goes like static crazy like.
Yeah.
But no, the only one I can think of at the moment is the one where he's leaving the boat, and I just remember it definitely swelled a lot with that kind of emotional impact that scene had and stuff. There was something I did have in my notes, because I did take some notes after I watched it, where I had always seen like edits of this movie in this one painting that people pointed out. They're like, oh my god, like, or not, oh my god. Anywho, they're like, these are movies that were inspired by paintings, and it's this one. I don't know what it's called for people who can't watch, but I'll just show it to you.
Yes.
It's like him walking up the stairs. This is just to describe it. And then the painting's like a staircase with a dark night sky and the moon and a reflection down below. I thought it was cool.
I really loved like the one, that scene, because of how pretty it was. And then two, I love a movie that leaves you kind of like hanging, and we never see him outside of the studio.
I feel like that would have ruined the movie if they showed,
Thank you.
If they had another
Thank
30
you.
minutes where he was just like
Like
in
trying
real
to go
life.
find the girl. Yeah, no.
I hate this.
I don't think we needed to see that. The movie is called The Truman Show because it's about Truman in the show. Once he's outside of it, we don't,
And plus, I think it does leave it up for like the audience's imagination
Exactly.
to picture how he would live.
My parents
in the world.
hated that. They hate.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah. My mom is such a I want a definitive ending type person. Yeah, she did not like the fact that as soon as he stepped out of the studio, it was over.
I like that. I feel like it would have dragged on too much and overstayed it. Well, it's welcome. But if like, I don't know. I just like either thinking maybe he gets his life together, or maybe it like all falls apart because everything's been so constructed for him, and now
I think he goes absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I think that like as soon as he steps outside the real world, the like actual world just crumbles him, unfortunately. And I hate to say that, but like, I don't know. Think about it. I mean, everything in his life has been manufactured to make it easy for him.
It's literally, he's had the world revolving around him.
Exactly.
His entire life, and now it's like.
And now he's trying to go to Fiji to find the girl that he met in high school, even though they were still, actors playing high schoolers in their 30s.
Or it's just like, I don't know. Could you imagine, like, he probably still thinks some things happen because of, like, to influence him?
Exactly. Like, once he's lived his whole life with everything happening around him, and then once he realized that, and he steps out into a world where nothing's happening because of him, like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Like, you'd see someone getting robbed and, like, dang, how's that going to affect me?
Yeah. Or like you said, the traffic, like, would he like spaz out driving a car? Like, could he even drive, like, because we see him figuring out that like all the traffic moves for him and everything. Like, when that doesn't happen, what does he do? Like, what? I struggle with trying to like see a happy ending for Truman outside of it. Like, does he come back to it and then like buy back in? But at that point, the show's done. There's no going back.
It's just like he's doomed from the get-go and that kind of thing.
So think about it going on for like 30 years, So like when, let's say there's like when will we have been watching one person on social media and like, or TV grow up basically for 30 years?
I'd probably say when like the Kardashians' children are grown up, because we've been there from the get-go for them.
Well, I mean, we've been around for like child stars and stuff for ages. That's been going on forever. But I'm talking about like similar to the Truman Show. Like
every second of their life.
Just about, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. Like, how far off are we from that?
Or is that happening right now, and like me and you just aren't aware of it?
I feel like it could be. I mean, I feel like anything could be happening right now on the internet, knowing the
Absolutely, I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, as I said that, I just remembered that like I have definitely been fed on my For You page on TikTok. A guy locked himself in a shed for 6 months and is making art and is continuously live streaming himself in the shed for 6 months making art. Yeah.
There's one guy who's like, this is day 600 of live streaming until my phone explodes.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, Jesus, Louisa.
Or there's also a dude on TikTok like tattooing himself every day for 365 days of the year. I mean, that's back to the point I was talking about earlier, like the real life part of the Truman Show that's scary, that like we're living in it now.
I mean, it's not as big as it though.
Oh God, no. I don't think that like we could pull something off like that now.
Yeah. Because everybody would be like, this is like the Truman Show.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever think like one day maybe Jim Carrey's just gonna have like a psychotic break and think everything revolves around him because of this movie?
Not because of this movie, but because of the kind of actor that he is. Maybe I think. I mean, are you familiar with what Jim Carrey does now?
I know he's like anti-vax and stuff.
No, it's not necessarily that. It's like he's like becomes super political and makes these like huge political paintings and like post. I mean, he's got some great stuff. I really want one of them. Honestly, they're like 4 by 6 feet, massive, like huge, thick. It's just awesome. But he's like super political now and doesn't really act. He's in a movie. He's in a TV show on Showtime about like. I honestly don't know. It's weird. I think it's called Unhappy Endings or Happy Endings. But he's not really acting anymore like he used to in the movies. And I think that's because of all the characters that he played. I mean, you look at his career, he's always played like the off the wall kind of crazy person. That has to be hard on somebody, yeah.
It's so weird. Of all the people to have like a psychotic break, I don't think anybody would be like, Jim Carrey, that's the guy.
Well, I mean, hell, Robin Williams killed himself, and he was a great comedian. You know, like some of the people that make you laugh the most are sometimes the saddest or like most messed up on the inside. I firmly believe that, especially after watching Robin Williams for so long, thinking he was just the happiest guy on earth. In my childhood, especially, you know, and then losing him, Anthony Bourdain comes to mind, you know.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But hopefully that doesn't happen to Jim Carrey. I'm not trying to like speak that into existence. But I definitely think he's troubled because of movies like this, you know, and like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That is a doozy of a movie, you know, like having to act in that. I can imagine that was pretty tough.
Probably, yeah. I still haven't seen it, but I get the gist of the movie. But yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
Not that I can think of. I think we covered a good bit of everything.
Yeah.
What do you think? Anything you want to talk about?
Not really, no. I think we're good, yeah.
All right, well, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll be back with another episode soon, hopefully.
Good morning, and in case I don't see you.
See ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.